So, where do bears go? Where do bears go when they leave you, when they've had enough and they're bored and you haven't given them any attention? And they've gone, right, you know what? I've had enough here. Because they can do that. As soon as a bear makes a decision that they've had enough, they're leaving, the Animar will just drift off and find itself back in the bear dimension. Now, the exception to that is when it's a bear's first life. Now, if it is a bear's first life and the Animar has descended for the very first time into a bear, you should be asking yourself, where did it come from? And the answer is, we don't know. Bears think it's something to do with the great mind. Who knows all things and does all things? But the fact is, the Animar turns up in a bear body, and for the duration of that life, the bear doesn't come and go from the bear dimension. They don't go back there, not until the end of that first life. So they might know about it. They obviously talk to other bears, and so they'll know things, but they don't actually get to go back there until the end of their first life. So you'd think some bears, they might be quite excited to go back. And if it is their first life, you better make sure you treat that bear with all the attention and respect it deserves. Because it might be thinking, ooh, people dimension is a bit boring. Nothing much happening here. I think I'll go home because I haven't been there. But the other bears tell me it's a great place. So that's one way that it can happen. A bear can decide they've had enough and they're a bit bored and they just want to leave. And that will happen instantly and naturally. But then, what about, I hesitate to say these sorts of things with bears in the room. Little bear ears. Cover your ears, Penelope. What about if things happen like fire or dust carts, or in the film Ted, different kind of bear, that one, but where he was literally pulled apart. And so then, he ended up dying, his Animar left. Things like that, where the teddy bear, for some reason, the body gets damaged, beyond repair. So I think she's all right. She's had enough life. She understands. But the thing you need to know is that you don't have to worry in that case, because something called the white mists that appear and take bear Animar back to the bear dimension will instantly, it's some kind of magic or the great mind, we don't quite know what, but it will instantly appear and that Animar will be back in the bear dimension before the dust cart jaws have had time to crunch. I feel terrible. I shouldn't be talking about this. I've got other bears in the room. Sorry, producer. Sorry, executive producer. Sorry, director of morale. He's a bit depressed now. But of course, this is very rare that that sort of thing would happen, because most bears have homes and they're looked after. So it's just in the rare instance that something like that happens, fall off the side of a cruise ship, something like that. But for the ordinary bear about town, there does come a point when perhaps in the natural way of things, that life will come to an end, in that perhaps you've got a bear, you've grown up, and you've forgotten about that bear. No one really interacts with the bear. And it's just simply not getting enough attention to stay here. There's no more fun. So it goes back to the bear dimension. And obviously that could be because it's the end of its first life or the end of subsequent lives. It doesn't matter. When they don't have enough attention, then they'll go back. So something that you can do is think about, how can I keep my bear here? And the way you can keep them here, obviously, is to interact with them. But this, of course, means that bears have the chance for more than one life, not just the one. They arrive, they depart, and then when they're in the bear dimension, they've got a home, that's everything they need, absolutely no need to come back here. So it's really in our interests to make it nice for them so they want to come back. But the thing is, bears are curious creatures, and they love to play and they love to experience new things. And that's part of the reason that they want to come back. So they use the animatrix machine and they pop back into a random teddy bear body. So it's a little bit of a gamble to have another life. So, for example, Penelope here. Look into the little eyes there. If you haven't seen them before, can you see a bear? Oh, Penelope, you are lit up. Can you see a bear who's had a lot of lives? Can you see that? She has. She's had a lot. Can you see the wisdom there? Can you see the lives in those eyes? Well, if you can't, just keep practicing. Perhaps put the video on several times. Like and subscribe. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to do that. YouTube says that I must say that, but yeah, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to do it. But get your own bear out. Look at them. Look in the eyes and see, is this bear alive? Is it on its first life? Does it look a little bit new and a little bit too excited to see everything? Or does it look like got some wisdom? Oh, I've been around here before. Who knows? If all else fails, ask it. So I think we should perhaps just cover the fact that because bears come back for other lives, there are lots of different types of bears in the world. Penelope is a very special type, as we've established. But I have introduced the Pessabear in a previous video. Centre stage muesli, there he is. Oh, look at that. He's almost wandering about, looking happy, but I think he has remembered that don't do that. That's better. Yes, he's a Pessabear, so generally he doesn't look happy. But the thing is, let's ask the Pessabear, why on earth would you come back? Because this isn't his first life, is it? No, isn't. So, why would a Pessabear come back to the people dimension? Well, actually, because it's random, isn't it? It's a bit of a gamble. You know, you never quite know where you're going to end up or with whom or in what circumstances. And there's a lot that can be made out of that. There's a lot of complaining tunities there, and Pessabears love nothing more than to complain. Perhaps the word love is a bit strong, but it is their favourite thing to do. So actually, there are possibilities for complaining about new things to complain about, and then you can take those stories back to the bear dimension and tell your friends. Although, to be fair, Pessabears don't have friends. They just have, do they? Do they have friends? There is a story coming in the third book, actually. Usually it does make a friend. You do? He does. He's excited. It's true. But technically, no. They have people that they meet up with by accident. So other Pessabears that they know, because we don't have friends, because that would be too nice a thing to happen, we have bears that we might meet up with by accident. So, for example, they might say, oh, I don't expect I'll be passing this way again at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And even if I did, it'd probably be raining. So that tells the other bears he probably will be passing that way. So they might happen to saunter along and bump into each other, probably bump. And then hopefully, if it is raining, obviously they will have brought up an umbrella and they can complain about that. And if it isn't raining and they have brought an umbrella, they can complain about the fact they've brought an umbrella and it isn't even raining. Lots of fun if you're a Pessabear. So all types of bear, even the ones you think that might not want to return, do actually have the capacity to return. There is something called a scare bear. And to be fair, they're not that keen on coming back. It's in the name. But most bears, they are curious and they want to know more. Or in Muesli's case, have more things to complain about, which is always good. Or bad, whichever way you want to look at it. So yes, do bears have more than one life? Yes, they most certainly can. Most bears you will find will return. So if you do find that you've neglected your bear for a little bit too long, you can rest comfortably in the knowledge that they're back in the bear dimension, living it up, and it's quite possible that they might return. Now, given that they've returned, that obviously means they're choosing to return, and they don't get to choose where they go. But you might have asked yourself, if you've got a very special bear, for example, you're all special. They are all special. You might be asking yourself, well, did I choose this bear, or did this bear choose me? That's quite an interesting question, and we're going to cover that next time.